use this one simple opening to be ahead of 99% of the chess players. I will show you exactly how to implement this entire plan, one simple opening, against whatever your opponent plays. We play against 2000 rated player, even more than that. So if you can beat him, you're ready to join the top 1% of all of the chess players. He plays f5, not the most usual opening, but we are still gonna play the same stuff. We start with the move knight to f3. Now, one thing we need to decide, where do we develop this bishop? Against the Dutch defense, I prefer to develop it to g2, where it's going to be very strong along the diagonal. All right, let's just castle. And to make things very simple, you're going to develop your second bishop also to this diagonal. So we are going to have two powerful bishops there. Very simple strategy. You can implement it every time. And now we are going to attack in the center. We want to put as much pressure against our opponent as possible. First, we fight for the center here. Second, we develop all of our pieces. Those are already there. And now we develop the last minor piece using the principle one piece, one move. This way, you develop every single piece as fast as possible. And we also made sure that our king is safe. That allows us to, just like an insurance, to go forward and destroy our opponent and not worry about our king. Treat it like your child, please. All right, how can we crush him now? I want to play e4. Once I do that, all of that are going to be just weaknesses. So you have developed your pieces, your opponent is doing something weird. How to take advantage of that? Well, try to implement your strategic plan, combining your strengths of the position and your opponent's weaknesses. And then go ahead and create as many threats for him as possible. But at the same time, try to improve your position. This is the best strategy under 2000 Tilo. Here is exactly how I execute it. He plays knight e4. That is a strong move. He wants to stop me from playing e4. Right, okay. I'm gonna play c4. Maybe I should have played it immediately, and then queen to c2, trying to put pressure on this knight. Because if I take it, I'm gonna help my opponent. Chess is difficult enough. You don't want to create any unnecessary problems for yourself. Then this file is going to be opened. He's going to play d5 and this pawn would be very annoying. We don't want that, right? We want to create our own threats. We want to be in the driver's seat. If I can give you one tip of advice that brought me so much further in chess and will inevitably make you so much stronger. Fight for the initiative. Be the one creating threats and not the one passively defending against whatever your opponent is doing. That would be the logical next step. Probably he's doing that, and not that difficult. How do we break through here? We can take at this point, but again, I don't really like it. So I'm gonna play queen c2 first, see what he's doing, probably knight f6. And maybe I can take advantage of the fact that he has two good knights for just one good square. Remaneuvering my knights somewhere and playing this move f3. Attacking the guy in the center, he has to go backwards. I'll also defend this bishop. The more pieces you have defended, the less pieces you have vulnerable, the more chances you have that everything is going to be solid and you will never blunder anything. Most of the games you lose only because you blunder it. Well, guess what? If everything is protected, how on earth are you gonna blunder it? Only if you put your piece somewhere where it can be taken. So never touch anything before you have thought, can this thing be taken once I move it? One simple rule saves you from 90% of your blunders. All right, he does go for knight f6. What do we do? I thought also about the move d5. That is gonna just completely open up everything, hopefully. But yeah, he can just take it and play 5. Then it's still not so simple. Then let me go on. I am not worried that much. Just bring in all of your pieces and then look for chances to use it to the best of your ability. I have developed every single one of my pieces following the one piece, one move rule. Now I'm looking for ways to use it. d5, I don't know, I'm still not a big fan of it because the c file is going to be open, my rook is going to be hanging. If I do that, it should be somehow in a smart way. This move f3 is something I would want to do, but the problem is, where should this knight go? Maybe rook e1, yeah, was not needed because I would be able to play knight e1 and then f3. Going here is definitely not a great thing to do because he can just play g5 and push me back. So sometimes we make mistakes. That's all right. We are just human beings. Maybe we can play c5 now that I think about it, because once this pawn is gone, we can play knight e5, and then, by the way, f4 is possible, and this knight might come to c4. c5 feels very strong, and an additional advantage is if he takes, we are gonna open up our bishop on b2. That's going to be just a monster. Then we are gonna play knight e5 and open up this bishop as well. This guy, this is so horrible, the worst placed piece on the entire board, and we want to use that to our advantage. Let's see how he reacts to it. If he does nothing, I'm happy just to take it and proceed with the move knight to e5. Every time where your opponent develops his bishop to g7 like that, you can use this double fianchetto, very powerful solution to just destroy everyone. I'm gonna take on d6. I'm not shy out of it. If he takes with the queen, knight c4 is with the tempo. Probably he wants to take with the knight. Then this guy on e6 would be always a weakness. And I'm gonna achieve my goal to go there. Okay, knight c4. How are you gonna deal with it? The queen is hanging. If you go somewhere along the diagonal, then you have got another problem for yourself. Bishop a3, just winning an exchange. So this is exactly how it works. You bring all of your pieces, you try to do it towards the center. Like the bishops are tricky pieces. You can be in the corner of the board, but they still control the center and the entire board. But the knights, you want to keep it near the center. The rooks are great in the center, the queen somewhere there. And then you try to use all of that to create some problems for your opponent. As many as you can while improving your position. Yeah, now I'm ready to push it forward. Maybe he wants to play b5, but he's creating a lot of problems for himself. I don't think that with so many weaknesses he can be successful. And guess what? Now I'm ready to play this move f3. And this knight almost has 0 squares to go. d6, I mean, I'm afraid you're going to lose some material. But I have to be careful with it. Maybe I play bishop a3 first to cover that square, and then I play f3. And if you go there, well, I'm happy to push you even further. Okay, he does this. So now after f3, he's probably ready for knight to d6. Then let's start with the move bishop a3. Why not? So that we control that square completely. At some point, we might have some tactics there once we need it. But otherwise, our main idea is to play f3. He still cannot go there, because I'm gonna win material here. I attack with 2 minor pieces. And if he go backwards, well, maybe we can even achieve our goal and play e4. We're gonna think about it, controlling the entire center and pushing forward. I'm not sure what our opponent is thinking about. There's no other move apart from knight g5. And do we play e4? I think we do, because look at how passive this guy is. This rook is not participating, and all of our pieces are active. In such a situation, you have to use the momentum. You have to use your initiative. Remember the golden tip: fight for the initiative, but once you have it, use it. Otherwise, it's gonna disappear. Your opponent is gonna develop all of his pieces, optimize it, and your advantage is gone. So let's play e4. It's protected. I don't see anything dangerous he can do. So I don't even want to play h4, maybe not, maybe later on, because he can at least exchange some of the pieces. Although that is great for me. I'm going to take with the pawn and then have this d6 square, the best you can imagine for such a knight there. If he takes, however, over here, then I might bring the rook back to the f file where it's going to be super powerful. Okay, he does go for b5, so that at least he can create one threat in a row, and also, yeah, just to get some freedom, you know, to go forward a little bit. Can I play knight e3? I think I still have enough defenders here, right? Maybe he wants to somehow sacrifice an exchange, but I don't believe in it. So I'm gonna play knight e3. This is the most powerful square for the knight. I guess what I want to do, I wanted to say just to take it and play f4, but maybe start with h4 first, then take it and then play f4, so that this knight cannot come back to e4, and my bishop as a result would be super active. I should be careful not to allow him any counterplay. It's one thing to get a great position, but we often just spoil it completely. And the number one reason is that we are not careful enough with our opponent's threats. I cannot overestimate how many games I have lost because of that. And I still am. I mean, I'm also human like you. I make those mistakes, but I try to learn from it. I understand this is my biggest weakness in chess, so I have to constantly be alert every single time my opponent makes a move. What is the threat? What can I do to stop it while at the same time improving my position? For example, this move bishop c5 might help somehow stabilizing everything here. Maybe even protect it later on with b4, I don't know. Let's see what he does. This tension on the c file, I guess my opponent is not happy about that. The question is, how can I use that? Cannot really play that, exactly for the reason that this pawn is hanging. Maybe the best is just to bring the bishop back, because here it's actually great, making sure everything is solid, because it has achieved its goal. This knight could not have played to d6, and now it has a very awkward position on g5. Playing in the center is the most powerful thing that you can do in chess. Who controls the center controls the entire flow of the game. It's not about just straightforward going into forward in the center. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you control so many squares, so for your opponent, there is not enough space left to do whatever he wanted to do. And that is why it's so powerful. If your opponent has those space problems, you don't want to easily exchange the pieces. The more pieces you exchange, the simpler it gets for your opponent. That is why he plays knight to d7 and tries to exchange more stuff. But there are so many tactics in there here. And frankly, I don't like. Every time your opponent goes backwards, think twice. Maybe now you have some additional opportunities. This c6 pawn is just hanging. And I can take it with a queen, with a knight, just have to understand what on earth is going on. I think knight c6 is the first move I'm looking for. If you have space advantage, try to not exchange the pieces. I'm attacking the rook and threatening knight to e7, check, winning the queen. The queen is unprotected there, come on. If you play rook to c8, maybe it somewhat helps. Even if I do that with the fork, I cannot take it because my queen... wait, my queen is even protected. Then I have nothing to worry about at all. I can simply just take it. I think that was kind of a desperado from my opponent. He felt like I'm controlling the entire center. He cannot go forward. He cannot create any threats. And this knight on e5 is so overwhelming. So let me just exchange it. But this inevitably happens. That is why this is the best strategy under 2000 ELO to beat everyone. You just put as much pressure as you can while limiting your opponent's potential as much as you possibly can, just like I did in this game. And as a result, you just crush everyone under 2000 ELO and even above that. This is the top strategy that all of the GMs, like Hikaru Nakamura, Magnus Carlsen are using. So you should do it too. Of course, on your level, you might miss some things, but understanding these key principles and fighting for the initiative is what is going to bring you much further in chess. I think knight e7 is just winning the queen. I'm attacking here. I'm checking the king. If you can give a check, that's great. But if you can give a check and create a threat at the same time, that's even better. But what if your opponent plays something else? Like this gambit on e5, so many players love to play it. Whenever he does that, he plays e5, he almost always take the pawn on e5 in this opening. And then we want, again, we should be very careful with our opponent's threats, but we want to achieve our goals. The goals are the same, no matter what opening you play. You develop all of your pieces, you fight for the center, you make sure your king is safe. So let's try to make it possible in this weird gambit. Let's say I don't know any theory whatsoever, I just want to achieve my goals. So I'm gonna bring this bishop to g2, just as in the last game. I don't want to invent anything new, to keep it simple for you. And I want to make sure that my king is safe. He probably is gonna castle that long way. That is the moves that he memorized, and he's trying to execute it every time. The problem is that once you do that, and if you don't truly understand what to do, you're gonna get into big trouble. I think I can play knight to d5 here immediately. That is why I postponed castles a little bit. Also because I understand he wants just to checkmate me there, so why would I make it so simple for him? Maybe I'm gonna wait a little bit. But I want to stabilize my knight on d5 so that it cannot do anything dangerous for me. To do that, I want to play c4, because otherwise, I mean, this bean can be very annoying. But if it's protected, it's difficult to do something about it. He tries, okay. And if I take, he is gonna somehow win some material maybe, or at least it would be very annoying. But what if I play bishop g5? Instead of making another move with the same piece, in this case, this guy, you want to bring more stuff. Bishop g5. And also, this is pinning the knight and this rook. If he takes, I would be happy to take this rook. And in every case, I'm a pawn up, so I'm happy to take that. Now, I should be careful not to lose my queen. I don't know. For example, if I take there, bishop b4 check, and this is no good news. So probably it's time for me to castle. I have very solid structure here. He cannot really do anything. And I'm threatening now knight takes f6. Should be still careful with that. There are some discover attacks, but yeah, this is something he has to worry about. Now, all I need to do is continue slowly exchanging the pieces, not allowing him just to deliver a checkmate. If I'm gonna succeed with that, basically my position is strategically winning. Because I'm a pawn up and his pawn structure is horrible. But he's still going for the checkmate, I bet. Knight d4 is one of the interesting moves. I think this is the best. It's attacking two of the pieces he has to take, but then I take, and very important, I attack this pawn on a7. And that is not just a pawn. Well, he wanted to checkmate me. I want to checkmate him. And we are gonna see who is going to be more successful with that. The queen in the center is very powerful. Alright, he plays king to b8 to defend it. He appreciates my threat, but now I can just take on f6 and go into the endgame where I'm going to be a pawn up. Let's try to calculate. Maybe it's not that great, because in the end he's gonna have that, and he's also attacking the c4 pawn. He has a pair of bishops. Maybe it's not that great. What else can we do? Maybe just e4. That would be even more solid. But I assume he wants to do that. That is a bit annoying. We would need to go backwards, and we never want to go backwards, right? So how can we go ahead here? Rook e1, still bishop e5, queen c5. This is good. I mean, we are attacking a lot of stuff, but maybe he's gonna play c6. b4, I don't know. Not a big fan of it. Maybe we do go for the endgame. But no, he takes here, attacks there, bishop e5 is coming. King b8 is stronger than I thought it is. Alright. Can we play something crazy like f3 just to force matters? Goes here, for example, we can play queen takes f6 now. That feels powerful. Very important, he doesn't have bishop c5. Ah, wait, he is gonna have bishop c5 check. Takes bishop c5. If I go here, he has another check. Then he has another check. No, that's dangerous. But how can I improve? If I take with the knight, I'm attacking this guy twice. But he always threatens something like that. I have time. I attack here, and then maybe I have bishop to d5. That, at least for the time being, stops me from that threat. Or I also at some point have something like that, threatening checkmate. Wow, I'm gonna take with the knight. I'm gonna be brave here. Trust yourself. Doubt your opponent. Go for the checkmate. Bishop e5 immediately, but I thought this is not great. First, I can still do that, right? I'm threatening checkmate, and I'm threatening just to grab that guy. How on earth are you gonna stop all of the threats? I think he hasn't thought about my ideas long enough. He kind of instantly made that move, and you can never do that. Whenever your opponent makes a move, try to understand all of the threats he creates, especially if this is a critical situation where, depending on your one move, it's going to be either winning or losing. You can never make the move so fast. Okay, now let's convert this. We are happy to take, or actually, you don't even need that. I don't know, I like both. Let's take, just to make sure the queens are off now and we can just enjoy this endgame with an extra piece. Yes, he can play rook d2, but doesn't matter. We can even offer the trade. That pawn, do we really need to save it? Because I think he's going to be in trouble. Takes, bishop f3, rook here, knight e3, and you cannot save it. So I'm going to play rook d1. The more pieces you exchange, the simpler it is for you to convert your advantage. All right. Yeah, now he at least defends against that threat, so bishop c6 is not possible. But I achieved my goal. Changed some stuff. I like this move f4, so that this e5 square is there for my knight. Otherwise, I would need to go backwards. I never want to go backwards. I want to go forward, I want to attack, I want to destroy my opponent. Obviously, I'm never afraid of some checks. Without the queen, it's not possible. But just to make sure the bishop is not there, because it's blocking my rook, I'm going to play e3 first, and then I'm ready to play knight e5. Once he played that, it makes my bishop immediately much stronger. h5, well, I wanted to play knight e5 anyway. Okay, now we exchange it. I don't care about my pawn structure. I have an extra bishop. That is all that matters. Then all you do, just go forward and create as many threats as you can. I can even allow myself one more set of double pawns if I'm gonna get a passer. Okay, he doesn't want to do that. No problem. Do I take or do I just defend? Probably I just defend, not allowing him to create too many passers. Passers are dangerous. So try to avoid it. And you should try to create it for yourself. For example, I have two connected passers. I think it's high time for me to push it forward. Well, let's play h5. Why not? Takes. Let's take it back. I think I can just defend it so that he cannot push it forward. Can f2, so that I'm ready for the move g4, push the pawns forward and support them with the king. Important is that you control everything, that you have as few weaknesses as possible, and just be careful with those passers. Everything else doesn't matter. I think he wants to play king b2, and I can even stop that. Like, literally, his king is frozen. He can only go backwards. Now it's time for me to go ahead with the pawns. Maybe improve my king first, so that I don't lose those pawns. Be careful not to lose your passers. You really love it. But next move is g5, or if he's giving me the pawn, I can even take it. I don't know, he wants to go here. Let's take, why not? Rook d3, proof our king. You want every single piece to be as active as possible. You offer me a trade, I'm always happy to do that. Yeah, let's take it to simplify even more. Why don't you resign? Thank you. In this playlist, you can learn so much more about this magic opening to crush anyone under 2000 elo. Don't forget about the amazing offer 10-day opening mastery. The link is in the description. You get 50% off and a full month of live coaching with me for free.